Removing car sound deadening should be easy, but there is one huge problem nobody seems to mention, and I only found out when using a heat gun, and you'll see that they do come off really easily, but here's the problem. After having watched some videos, I thought my mats would just peel off like butter, but I ended up with huge amounts of tar and rubber left behind. I just thought, why is this happening? Firstly, I thought it might be my heat gun, as I chose the Wagner 300 that goes from between 400 degrees to 575 degrees, and to scrape the mats away, I ended up using the end of a Joseph detachable spatula just because it's easier to get into tight spaces. You could also use a wooden or silicone spatula or scraper so you don't have to worry about scratching your car, and please wear a mask as you don't want to be breathing anything in from these mats. Once I was kitted up, I started by pointing the heat gun towards the mats for about 10 to 20 seconds, and then you can peel them off with ease. So clearly the heat gun is hot enough, but there is still the issue of all that tar that gets left behind. And there is a solution for that. It's this tar and glue remover, but there are two specific problems with this stuff. Initially, all you need to do is spray this solution on the affected surface, wait 2 minutes and wipe it off easily with a towel. But that's not strictly true because I spent hours, literally hours, wiping this stuff off, and once I got most of it off, I then hit it with a pressure washer to remove the rest. But when you're removing this stuff from places like door panels, it's just not feasible, and there are issues with a spray like this too. Firstly, besides not removing tar and glue that well, when you spray this stuff, it does run, and if you have any carpeted or absorbent materials nearby, they will just absorb the liquid, so you have to be careful. It's best applying it to something like a microfiber cloth first, and then wiping the tar or glue with it. Secondly, this particular spray absolutely stinks. It really stinks of turpentine, so if it does get absorbed by any materials, it's really hard to get rid of. So do have a look at picking up an odorless variant. My car ended up smelling like a painter's workshop, so not only did I have to spend time wiping every surface down with detergent, I also had to buy a pack of 10 odour absorbers, and the smell still lingers. It's been about a week or so and the smell does get better, but it's been around for quite some time. And before I almost forget, the tar off of these mats gets everywhere, and I really mean everywhere. But after all the hard work, was it worth it? Looking at the results, you can really see that all of that tar has been removed, and can you see it? There is no rust, and these mats have been on the wheel arch for 1 whole year, and this has been exposed to all kinds of storms, snow, and the disgusting roads of Britain, so I wouldn't worry about rust at all, and there are no scratches from removing it either. But what I am worried about is taking all the rest of these mats off. Surely there has to be a better way, and I think I found it. It's ice, more specifically ice in a can. Most people seem to recommend dry ice for removing sound deadening mats, but it's hard to acquire, expensive, and if you're trying to put it on a door card or a wheel well, it's really finicky. Also, battering it with a hammer once it's frozen doesn't seem like the best thing to do to a car, so I opted for ice in a can and was really surprised with the results. This ice in a can is by Motip and is called Freezer. Its actual purpose is to help loosen car components like nuts and bolts that have seized, but it works well on sound deadening mats in theory by essentially taking all the stickiness out of them, so you can just peel them off. And initially I was really impressed with this. Application is fairly straightforward too. It comes with 2 nozzles, one standard and one extension, and I really like that once you've finished using the extended nozzle, there is a place for you to store it. With the extended nozzle attached, you just spray an area for about 5 to 10 seconds and you'll see the mats react by briefly freezing up. Then you can just pull them off and you're left with a surface that barely has any of the gunk from the mats at all. But of course, if it worked on all of the car, that would have been too easy, wouldn't it? When I switched to using the same method on another door, which had the exact same material, it took double the amount of time to remove the sound deadening mats, which I just couldn't fathom. Like, why is it working on one side and not the other? It's the same material. However, herein lies the truth. No one solution is going to work for everything all of the time. And I know it sounds obvious, but it isn't. There could be tons of things impacting this, like what material you're using, how the material is applied compared to the other side, what it's been exposed to, has it been exposed to too much sun or too much cold air. But I can almost guarantee that your mats are certainly not going to be peeling off this easily, whatever method you use. But the upside is that both approaches are cheap, so you can mix and match, but be prepared to work. And if you're wondering why on earth I'm removing non-stock sound deadening mats in the first place, well, that's because I found some that are way better, and this video reveals why.